across the train tracks. You explained to me that if you could hallucinate imaginary things, logically you could unhallucinate real things. And there could be a train coming, and you'd never see it coming until the coal fires were bearing down on me, so you grabbed my wrists to pull me away from the rails. I remember watching you walk down the middle of the street and start to throw your possessions onto the ground. Cell phone, DS, iPod. I watched screens shatter behind you as next to your jacket went, then your shirt, and you had your fingers poised at the top button to your jeans as you turned around to grin at me, daring me to do anything to stop you. I yelled your name like a gunshot. I am not your fucking babysitter! Remembering you would be easy if your frightening, uncontextualized mania were all I had to explain. But I remember nights when I snuck out of my house and we drove through fields aglow with summer heat lightning. How you ran your fingers through my hair and I felt like being at the edge of town with the windows rolled down and the storm rolling in was enough. Or everything. How we talked about fractals, quantum physics, how we'd build a 100 square foot mobile house together, where we would eventually go to college. You were my teacher and idol, 2 years older, yet eons wiser. I fell in love with a boy with the universe in his eyes, but 4 years later, that universe was never made real. We began to refer to my world as conventional reality, and in your world, conventional reality and hallucination became utterly indistinguishable, but my hurt remained. I was slighted by Mr. Hyde, and I picked fights with a confused and defensive Dr. Jekyll in the morning. Because in those days, you were some terrible combination of my boyfriend and my worst enemy. I remember times when you touched me and told me that I liked it, and I wasn't sure you were wrong. Before I found breath for a response, a way of dealing with your hands on me, you slid away from me and dropped the conversation to discuss your extra-dimensional jaunts. That's what it was like knowing you then. The second winter we spent together, I fumbled around with bleary eyes from your 3 a.m. phone calls, describing your new world order of the week. One day, I was gonna help you build a database of all human knowledge, which seemed to be a reasonable goal at the time. The next week, I was to help you build a treasury of all worthy media. I was the sole inhabitant of your spiraling nebula of ideas. But the more I gave you, the more I felt like I was bleeding out. My worth to you waned as your mania waxed, and I relegated myself to damage control. As egocentric and exhausting and inspiring as you were, your universe shrunk until you were the only one left in your world. No wonder you always said you were lonely. With this fundamental narcissism, even outside of any episode, you never listened when I begged you to stay on medication, to talk to your therapist, how you bemoaned that medication stifled your cognition, that a therapist could never, your words, understand you. I wondered if you realized the price the people who loved you paid for your untethered mind. And this alone wouldn't be so galling if you didn't need us so fucking much. Because the price you pay is that you can't keep a job, you can't go to school. When you spin your reality from stardust, it must be difficult to trust other people's assessment of right and wrong. But when you're manic, I can't explain this. Because when I try to talk to you, it's like I leave a voicemail for a full inbox. When I try to forgive you, it's like I'm forgiving somebody dead. Because the person who wronged me isn't there to listen. And I feel like there's no place for my anger to go. The only one who wanted your world to be true more than you did was me. I felt with you I could touch that stardust. Being with you made me feel like I could do anything. And giving up on you feels like I can't. But I'm not made grand by your delusions of grandeur. And I'm done bleeding for you. You want to be a psychonaut, a shaman, but you can't make deals with a demon in your brain because it's not some external force you hold at bay, it's you. And when that part of you rears up like a rebelling beast, towers like a thunderhead, the rest of us can only look on and wait for it to pass. And all of my fury is directed toward a part of you that evaporates with the right chemicals in your head. I fell in love with a boy with the universe in his eyes, but 4 years later, those eyes are recalcitrant and cynical, racing with unreal ideas and guilt over half-remembered transgressions, never believing that I'm real enough, that you have to change. You may be touched by fire, but you're not the only one you've burned.